I want to talk to you for just a second tonight about how important this coming election is. And I want to visit with you about this in terms of what it is we stand to gain and what we could lose. We've seen in the last 20 months a loss of individual freedom, and we've seen it from every single proposal that's come from the democratically controlled House, Senate, and White House. And there is a core disagreement between the people who are currently in charge of the power structure and people like us. And that core disagreement really boils down to a set of assumptions about human beings. Socialism assumes that people are no good. And that's why you have to have a very powerful government to run everything, control everything, and make all the choices. Because individual people, left to their own decisions, will do bad things. And the underlying assumption of socialism is that you and I are too stupid and too immoral and too lazy and too bad to do anything on our own. And without big government, coupled with the really bright people, you know, the people that went to Harvard and Yale, all those folks, you know, without them, we're just lost. Now, capitalism, what we believe in, is the exact opposite. We believe if you leave people alone, give them the most freedom possible, let them live free between the ground and God, as the founding fathers intended. Let them exercise what the Declaration says, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable, non-transferable rights, among those life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We believe that if you give people that opportunity, you'll find out people are just great. When I look out at you, I'm reminded of how correct the founding fathers were. Every time we get ready to do a freedom rally, a tea party, any public event, you know what happens? All kinds of great people come out of the woodwork and say, how can I help? Mac Daddy shows up and says, how can I sing? How many songs can I do? How long can I perform? What do you want me to do? Victoria Jackson flies out from Florida to help us out. She's got more important things to do. She's got a husband, she's got kids, she's got important stuff to do, but she wants to make sure that freedom extends to her children and grandchildren. So she jumps on the plane and she comes out to help us. Capitalism assumes that individual people left to their own devices will do the best possible. And the major difference in this upcoming election is whether we're going to put people into positions of power who believe that you are intrinsically good and when left alone you will behave perfectly, versus people who say you're just no damn good and we can't trust you to do anything. On one side are people who don't trust you to buy the right light bulb, buy the right toilet, buy the right car, buy the right house, how many kids you can have, what church you can go to. They don't trust you to do anything. That's why they got a law for every one of them. It is staggering to me to think that there will not be any more US-made incandescent light bulbs. The evil incandescent light bulb. Forget the border. We don't need to stop the 128,000 illegal immigrants who come across the border. Oh, I'm sorry, not immigrants. They're not immigrants. They're aliens. They're illegal aliens. Are they undocumented? Yeah, they're undocumented, but they're illegal. What's so tough to grasp? We don't want to stop them, but you can't have those incandescent light bulbs. Now, in 15 years, when all of those curlicue light bulbs that have mercury in them are poisoning lakes and aquifers, and everybody looks around and says, how did we get all that mercury? I want you to remember that I told you when we got rid of the incandescent light bulb, there'd be trouble. They're not green. They're full of mercury. And by the way, the green movement, you know, cars used to emit carbon monoxide, right? But then the green movement said you can't have them emit carbon dioxide, they got to emit carbon dioxide. Oh, and then what do we find out? Oh, what's killing the universe? Carbon dioxide. Well, you guys made us emit it. We didn't used to emit it, didn't used to come out. You made us do it. That's what the catalytic converter did. That's your fault, evil capitalist swine. So what I want you to focus on between now and November 2nd is your responsibility as a good person to get all of the other good people out to vote. The great philosopher Burke said, all that need happen for evil to triumph is that good men do nothing. If we sit on our hands and we don't vote, we're going to be stuck with this guy who has this bizarre view of our country, and he is going to lead the progressive Congress in a path that will destroy this country. And it is critical to get a grip on the fact that we're going to create jobs. The White House isn't going to create jobs. There's not a private sector. Out of the 200 people that work on the White House staff, less than 4 of them have actual private sector experience. Not one of them knows what it is to get a job. Arnold Schwarzenegger, years and years ago, when he was still a good guy, in a debate with Gray Davis, said, "Gray Davis only knows what it is to sign the back of a check. I know what it is to sign the front of a check." We need lots more people signing the fronts of checks. We don't need people who theoretically have proposed that if we did A, B, and C 100 years from now, there'd be less CO2 in the atmosphere. You know, we just have to get away from that. Now, final thought for the period of time between now and the election. Everybody you know has to be at the polls. We have to get everybody out. We have to get them voting. We have to inform everybody. We have to make it clear to all our friends and all our neighbors that this is going to be critical. And it isn't just immigration. It isn't just jobs. It isn't just unemployment. It isn't just growth in GDP. It isn't just those things. It's the very core of who we are as people. If you saw President Obama the other day, he quoted the Declaration twice. Both times leaving out the Creator. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator. He left out the endowed by their Creator line. Now, once you can write it right off to stage fright or the teleprompter's not working. Twice means that he doesn't think the Creator is who's given us our rights. What makes our country unique is that we don't believe the government gives us anything. Why we're here, why we're angry, why we're working to overturn this socialist turn that the government's made is we believe our rights come from the Creator. They're endowed to us. They're inalienable. They can't be transferred away. That's the primary difference. And even though that difference sounds like a very small difference, it's the difference between night and day, good and evil, eternity and a second. It is the difference in every part of our lives. Ronald Reagan once told a group of people, a few more folks than we have tonight, but a group of people just as nice, just as good. He looked out at him and he said, "We have a rendezvous with destiny. We're witnesses to history, and we have an appointment with our fate, and it's coming on this election. If we behave in the proper way, and we vote, and we get our friends out to vote, and we send a message that is undeniably clear by removing the progressives and removing the socialists and putting in place a common sense approach. What's rule number 1 of being in a hole? Stop digging. Stop spending now. No more spending. Federal government increased its budget by 25% last year. Stop it. That's number 1. We got to stop it. Number 2, if we put in these new people and they don't stop spending, we get rid of them too. Hold their feet to the fire until we have people who will do what they are supposed to do, which is represent us. Represent us. Not make up something from Harvard or Yale. Represent us. I don't know about any of you, but I don't want to be Brussels. I don't want to be Finland. I don't want to be Norway. I want to be the United States of America. I want to thank all of the veterans that are here tonight. I want to thank them for their service. I want to thank them for taking the time to come here, but most of all, I want to thank them as a teacher. I want to thank the veterans because they have taught by example. Their example is how we want our children to grow up. We want our children to grow up willing to make commitments, willing to sacrifice, and willing to become more than they intended to be. That's what the veterans in this crowd represent. People who have sacrificed, people who have committed, and people who were willing to become more than they ever thought they could be. That's the message we want to give to our kids. We have an election that we must win. When the election's over, we can't go away. We have to hold their feet to the fire. I expect to be seeing you many, many more times in this building talking to you about what we need to do next. In the meantime, we're going to have a great time tonight. Thanks for coming. God bless every one of you, and God bless the United States of America.